Around 11:34 p.m. is when two adjacent quadrants suddenly stopped returning diagnostic information, prompting Orion to initiate an automatic shutdown. However, due to the control configuration, it failed.
What did you do then?
Around this time is when Amelia came onto the PA and told us to reconfigure some control systems ourselves while Orion was recalibrated.
Well, was the quenching procedure attempted at least?
It was, yes, but something on Orion's end must have still been faulty, because moments later it alerted us it had failed to complete the prerequisite check.
Great. Just great.
Mr. Roberts, with all due respect, we warned you that the MIU would become a threat if hemispheric combustion got out of hand. Maintenance informed us, and HR, numerous times, that the support arm locking mechanisms were having problems. Heck, support arm 3's maintenance kept being pushed back thanks to your mandated grid connection tests.
Amelia, even if I am in the wrong here, so are you. You never informed the operations team that Orion's end of the combustion mode control system was unfinished. They were still under the assumption it was functional.
Yes, I acknowledge that mistake, but even then, the MIU's quenching procedure would have prevented this if the mechanical locks hadn't engaged themselves.
Enough! It's clear to me that some individuals here are incapable of proper time management. I provided ample time between grid connection tests for these maintenance runs to be done, so I cannot be held accountable for this.
Look, I'm not a maintenance professional, but...
Then zip it! I've heard enough excuses. This meeting is over.
Hello everyone, I'm Virtual, the head dev for Monolith Interactive, or the only dev for Monolith Interactive, and today I'm going to be showing you what we currently have in store for version 0.2. There isn't much built at the moment, because this update was actually very early in its stages when we stopped it, but I decided that since development isn't going to be, well, it has been declared as restarted, but realistically speaking, we're not actually going to be doing anything new with it. Probably until We're not going to be doing anything new with it until probably early 2025. So I decided to just show off what we currently have in store, or do like a brief recap, because it's been a while since I've actually talked about this project. So first off, we do have an airlock, and normally you would be using it, but since radiation levels are low enough, you're usually able to bypass it. So under normal circumstances, you wouldn't need to actually use the airlock. You could just bypass it and yeah, get inside the chamber, do your thing. But if radiation levels in the chamber were to increase to a certain extent, you would be required to use the airlock, as these doors would close as a preemptive measure. The chamber doesn't actually have anything new at the moment, besides that little radiation monitor here, which measures in millisieverts. I believe the threshold is 50 millisieverts or something around that, and then when it does reach that point, it'll eliminate this warning, and that'll do the isolation thing that I just mentioned. This door, I think, is the only one which is going to be programmed differently, where it only closes during an emergency or like an evacuation order. So this would close as to seal to isolate the chamber itself. So yeah, that's everything over here. This actually has labeling now. This wasn't. I don't think this was actually. It might have been labeled, but this wasn't properly determined until this update, where this is going to allow you to get under the, or like not really under the reactor, but under the floor here, so you'll be able to access the fuel pumps and do a little tinkering with them when the time is right. Equipment storage, this is probably where you're going to be able to grab things for maintenance tasks and stuff like that. Probably also stuff for the MIU, but I don't remember what specifically for the MIU. I know for maintenance there was the electrical box, obviously, and then maybe bulb replacements, some generic stuff, and then I think I had one or two more interesting things. that I can't quite recall at the moment, unfortunately. But yeah, that's what that was. That's what the game plan for that is. Uh, Obviously, in typical sci-fi fashion, we have to have propane tanks just sitting around, free to everyone's access. Get the room opens up here a bit. Off to the side here, we have the generator room, which houses 2 diesel generators, which will automatically start if mains power is lost. So, for example, during a startup failure, these generators would probably be the ones kicking in to temporarily supply power while the system reconfigures itself and gets the facility reconnected to the external grid. Because if you haven't noticed, the external grid is actually required for MIU startup via the logs. It's a neat little detail that I implemented. So if you haven't noticed that, do take a look at the logs while you're doing the startup. And here we have just like a very simple generator control room, but basically 2 switches to close onto the grid, and then this is the master breaker. I don't think this is required to, yeah, I don't think it's required to close the generators on because they're automatic. But because the switches are here, I believe there's also going to be a manual startup mode or selection system. But I believe the default is going to be on automatic simply because of easiness and stuff. Because if new players can't find the generator room immediately, I would understand if it gets kind of tedious to run around in the dark looking for the light switch or where you do that stuff. This door is clipping. I just noticed that now. I'm gonna have to fix that at some point, but it has been noted now. That's not intentional. Yeah, that's what that is. This one says facility power, but realistically, it's only showing subsector usage, like this label implicates here. So, yeah. I think Sector C, or the reactor sector, is going to be the only sector with 2 generators. The other 2 are going to have only 1. The only reason this one has 2 is because it has more critical equipment, like the MIU stuff. Otherwise, it would also probably have 1. But the idea is that each sector has a emergency power source relatively close to it, instead of there being one centralized area. These overhead doors do work. There are 2. There's this one, and then there's one over there. This is also currently open. But if I were to press the down button on this door would cycle and close, obviously. I believe the cycle time is about 10 or 15 seconds. Maybe 20. I don't quite recall. But, yeah. Door opens, door closes. Very cool stuff. And then the last area there is to showcase is the loading dock. Obviously, we have the overhead door, like I just showed off, but we also got another radiation monitor. And then we've also got a lot of asphalt for trucks. The general idea is that you'd go in here, use this computer, and then order what you need, like MIU components, maybe spare parts or something else for the facility. And then it would come in maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and then you'd unload it, and then either do the repairs immediately or send the parts to the equipment room down the hallway there. Not the most unique idea, I know, but that's all I've got right now, or all I had planned. That label does say something. I think it uses studs, though. Let me see. Yeah, 53 studs. Might change that, but I decided to use studs because that's the Roblox measurement, so I'm gonna stick with that for now. I don't think there's anything else. Actually, this mouse pad you guys may have noticed earlier. That's the one that Nova's logo on it. That's because I ripped a few models from the NSMRS revamp. Not out of hate or anything like that, or not obviously not out of hate. I mean, not not to be lazy, but I had the assets on hand, and the Anastamer's remake wasn't underway until then, so I decided to just take the assets and reuse them here. Down the line, I might remake them so they're a bit more unique, but otherwise, that's what we're working with right now. Anyway, that's all I have to show off, so I hope you like this very brief overview of what version 0.2 currently looks like. Uh, I might do another developer log depending on how things go, but that's heavily dependent on if development goes smoothly and if there's no external interference. So, yeah, hope you like the small insight video, I guess, and yeah, we'll see you again soon.